Welcome to all the mini enthusiasts and classic car enthusiasts. I've done the interior at the back, which I'll pick up the camera and I'll show you in a minute, and I've got some parts from Mini Spares today. Got a couple of boxes here, some pieces to finish off the car basically. But I wanted to show you this. This is the new, this is the Alden yellow. And this is the one that I got before we tried, and it was awful. It just wouldn't, the timing, when we put the strobe light on, it was just running from one end of the timing, you know, the degrees, from the other. It just wouldn't sit steady. And this is the Alden yellow. They're not cheap, they're about £170, but if you look at the quality, I don't know if I can show it on the camera, I'll try and get behind and show you. But if you look at the quality of that compared to that, you can see even just the side there where, I don't know if that's showing, where it's been, even inside, look at the difference on the inside, completely different. I mean, I don't know where these come from, but they're probably Asian or something. I think somewhere it's cheap labour. But just to show you, if you look at this, if you look at the way this is turning, I hope that's going to show up. You can feel it's just smooth, absolutely smooth. You can just feel it in the bearings. Whereas you take this one, I think this was like, I can't remember what it was, 65 quid or something, but you can feel it's lumpy. You can even hear it over the ticking maybe of the clock. It's clunk, clunk, clunk. It just sounds awful. I'll turn this one. I'll get that out of the way. I mean, the difference is unbelievable. Yeah, so I've got bought myself a Monza cap for it. I had one on it, but it was pretty rough. So bought that. Bought these new clamps instead of the normal U clamps, which is just they come over and then they have a bracket across them. These are much better, and they can be put up on the side, so there's nothing's going to catch on a bump or whatever, something low. This is the new inertia switch. And it's got the brackets on it, so which is what I needed. Some other bits and pieces. I needed a new heater valve. It just wasn't worth cleaning the other one. This seems is much better. The other one's a bit sluggish on the gate here. And bought this. This is from who is it from? It's from Goodrich. And the nice thing about this one is the first one I bought for my Mini 25. I don't know if you go back some way and have a look. It's in Germany now. A friend of mine wanted it for a couple of years. He pestered me to get it, and I sold it to him eventually. And that's why I bought this MPI originally, to replace it. But the nice thing about this one is they've got a swivel neck on them, which one end does, but if you buy the cheap version it doesn't have that swivel neck. So when you go to put this in, obviously there's a fibre washer in there, when you go to put it in, you've got to twist the whole line to take it up into the dashboard, which is a pain in the arse. So this Goodrich stuff is much more expensive, but it's worth having. I've got a bunch of new buttons and bits and pieces, so that's pretty much what's going on there. So I'll take you up and I'll show you what I've been doing with the car. Actually, before I do that, we were talking about these covers the other day, and one of the guys, Marcus Mini Zorus, I can't remember. I'm sorry, I can't remember the name now. And he was talking to me about this, about actually putting a washer, which is a good idea, to space it out away from the disc. So I put a spacer underneath, a new spring washer, and then the bolt. And then here what I'll do is, I can see what's actually wrong here. These are out of alignment. The other thing I noticed, these are from mini spares, the other thing I noticed is the edging's bloody awful. So what I'll do is I'll clean all that up and get it reshaped. It's just where it's been turned over on a, obviously in a jig of some kind. But you can see the quality's not that great. You can see there, well hopefully you can see it there. It's not great. So I'll clean them up and make a right good job before I put them on. The other thing I did before I before I took them off, I actually used this dial indicator. This is a magnetic one. So you just push the button and it's magnetized. So I put this onto the ramp and checked the disc, because sometimes with discs, you know, you buy something brand new and you take it for granted that it's going to be 100%, and that's not always the case, unfortunately, nowadays. So what I did was I put the dial gauge on it, and the run out was about 3 to 4 thou, maybe, yeah, you know, plus or minus on either side. So a couple of thou over the, or 4 thou over the total disc, which is really not a lot, but it means the discs are good. My brother-in-law mentioned it when he bought something from Ford many years ago, and one of the discs was actually warped. It had been, the way it had been machined, it wasn't quite right. So I checked them both, and they're both about 2 to 3 thou, something like that. I think 4 maximum run out. And obviously that might just be the facing on it. But I used the dial gauge. It's a good way of checking that they are right. So. Okay, so going on to the car, so I'll take you over to the Mini and I'll show you what I've been up to. So if you look here, you can see that I've done the back interior now, and what I've done is I've actually, this black piece is the piece that was in the car originally and still had the speakers in it, and you can see I've put the back seats in. I haven't actually attached this piece at the back, which I will do. I'll take it back out and attach it, but it's like a little leather strip, and you can see there's a little bit poking out there, but it looks really nice, and I'm going to keep the black. I think it gives it a nice, with a, you know, black, beige, black, beige, and so on. So to show you inside, I'll turn this light on so you can see it better. So you can see now, this is 2 speakers on a board in the bottom. You can see it's a really nice fit in there. Now that board actually came with the car, so I thought, well, why not use it? Not 100% happy. The bottom seat's fine. Not 100% happy with the top one, and I think basically it's just too badly warped, the original. So I'm gonna, when I come over to the UK, I'll go to Newton, because I have to order another complete set for the other Cooper, and I'll get a new back piece for it. It's too badly mangled, if you like. The framework's not great. The sponges had it, so I'm gonna. It's only stapled in place, and you can see there at the top it's just not 100%. The bottom one I'm reasonably happy with. I might even buy both if they're reasonable price, just to make sure. And I'll redo them. And you can see I've covered over the wheel arches now. The wood's on, and yeah, it's looking nice. So that's a nice finish after. I left the seats out. I'm putting the seats back in as soon as I finish the video, but I left the seats out because I wanted you to have a proper look at it. The nice thing about, so it looks pretty nice. The nice thing about these seats is, because they normally with a high back seat with a headrest on it, it's unless they recline, it's very difficult to pull them forward. You'd be very pushed. You'd have to be pretty tiny to get inside there, I can assure you. Actually, that's even better without the light. Let me go around so you can see there's one of them there, and there's the other one. But when you recline them, you can get in quite easily. And one of the other things is that little clip. We talked. Somebody mentioned this clip the other day. I think it was Ben, and whoever it was that wrote in, he's